All right, guys, welcome back. This is game three. Night Blue squad up 2-0. Once again, back to the blue side against Cutie Pie's team on the purple side. Cutie Pie himself in first pick slot this time. Happy to play top lane once more. Jaina and Thresh, the immediate plans from Night Blue squad. No surprises there. Biofrost, a very competent player. You can see even in the last game, despite kind of a crushing defeat, playing just so fantastically on that Leona pickup. But definitely wanting to keep him away from his comfort picks, Jaina and Thresh at this point. Rek'Sai and Draven once again the bans for Cutie Pie squad. Rek'Sai so powerful in this patch, and Draven, of course, Fabi's #1 champion, and Fabi has the potential to carry those games. And when you give him Draven and when you give him that comfort pick, he's just going to do so very well. The last ban for Cutie Pie Squad, though, a little bit of hesitation. Will they take away the Lissandra? Will they take away the Corki from Fabi? It's I'm curious to see. Corki's still very much one of the most strong or the stronger champions in this game, but of course they are going to take away Lee Sin at this stage. Lee Sin still probably one of the strongest junglers, and obviously Nightblue did so much work in game one, carried his team, provided so much early aggression, put pressure on every single lane, and snowballed the early game for his squad pretty much all on his own. Zen the Solo King once again going to take Lissandra first. Lissandra, as I mentioned last time, just such a powerful pick in this meta. We saw Cutie Pie using her to some pretty to pretty good effectiveness. You know, despite some sloppy engages, did a lot of work, won a lot of team fights, and followed up really well in a lot of situations. The question now is, what is going to happen to the rest of the squad? What exactly are they going to do here? Once again, Cutie Pie's team is on the back foot. They need to win this game or they are out of the tournament at this point. $10,000 on the line for them. They do want to make it to Sunday to play against Void Boy's team, but they are going to take the Azir almost immediately. Love Lava, haven't seen him play it yet. Cutie Pie, haven't seen him play it either, but Azir, obviously a very powerful champion, has similar scaling to an AD carry in the sense that he does so much work in late game team fights. Also has excellent disengage options. Not so great against Lissandra, who of course can just alter self to block the Azir wall, but is still going to do a lot of work. And Grigny now taking Elise, a champion who still has an excellent jungle clear, probably one of the best in the new jungle, but still doesn't have the same power level as a lot of these more conventional junglers. Wouldn't be surprised to see Nightblue pick up J4 here. J4 still a very strong pick. And that Lissandra pick, of course, isn't limited to the top lane. It can go top or mid, so the J4 pick doesn't reveal too much. They are going to take Vel'Koz here. No surprises there, as Zingy has done a lot of work on this Vel'Koz pick. You know, it started off kind of slow in game one, but did a lot of work in the late game. And then immediately at level 6 in game 2, it just he picked up that kill on Ethel, on that Graves, and just got his lane ahead so very quickly. Corki as well the pick. Fabi, knowing how powerful that champion is, despite consistently having a weak early game, doing very well with it overall. The Blitzcrank, the hover over here, would be surprising to see it locked in. Blitzcrank, obviously, a very limited character, kind of one-dimensional, just very reliant on that hook, but at the same time has the potential to rip apart this strong backline with Vel'Koz and Corki. So could be a good pick depending on how it's used. Not a champion we've seen Biofrost play before. Obviously, if I Am Matlife was in this game, would not be surprised to see that picked up immediately, but Biofrost, not known to be a Blitz player, doesn't quite have the same level of experience. But I am interested to see exactly how this will develop. We do see Ethel picking something a little different, maybe. Hesitating on the Tristana pick, definitely wants to pick the Graves into this matchup, is very comfortable on it, but instead is going to pick Tristana. Tristana, not nearly the same power level in lane phase, but obviously just absurd late game scaling. Blitzcrank locked in as well. They don't want to mess with this backline anymore. They don't want to give Nightblue's team this strong backline that they had in this last game, and they don't want to give anything up at this stage. They want to be able to be aggressive, and you can see that with the Blitzcrank pick and with the Elise pick. The pick potential on this team with all these picks is just so high. You have the Cocoon, you have the Blitz grab, you of course have the potential for that Azir sec, where you can of course jump behind people and knock them back with a wall. But now Golden Glue hovering over this LeBlanc, that will mean that Lissandra is going top if they lock this in, and the LeBlanc is going into the mid lane. Wouldn't be too surprised to see that. Obviously, Azir is going to have a very tough time dealing with LeBlanc in the early game. We'll be able to push her out of lane, but Never is going to really be able to match the burst that she puts out. Nightblue, once again, tempted to pick up this Wukong. It did work so very well for him last game. He did a lot of work, tricked a lot of people with that clone, and, despite not having the same impact as Lee Sin, did a lot of work in the early game. That LeBlanc is locked in, so it looks like it's going to be Corki and his Vel'Koz down in the bot lane. Meanwhile, of course, LeBlanc in the mid lane, Wukong in the jungle, and Lissandra in the top lane. What exactly are they going to pick to deal with this? Rumble could be a lock and wouldn't be too surprised to see it. Doesn't have the same amount of CC in a lot of these situations, but can provide a lot of team fight damage. That ultimate, of course, 650 damage at level 6, 1.5 AP scaling if you sit in it for the whole duration, and a 35% slow. So that character alone can build the ult. Trundle also the hover over here. Definitely a different pick. Can be used against the Wukong very efficiently, but instead we are going to see the Cho'Gath lock in. And, you know, where's this Cho'Gath going to go? It looks like into the top lane. Cho'Gath, not a champion I've seen any of in a very long time, but that silence could come in huge here in these team fights. We saw the Soraka pick in game 1 did a lot of work with the silence. Now Cho'Gath, of course, significantly easier to get the silence off and unconditional. You know, once they're out of the silence area, it's still going to keep them locked down for a short period of time. And against a team that consists of a LeBlanc and of a Lissandra, you know, casting abilities is going to be so key to get the advantage in these team fights. So Cho'Gath could potentially be a very strong pick, but he also just has absolutely no mobility and still has the same weaknesses that Cho'Gath has always had, which is, you know, he can provide so much in a team fight against non-mobile opponents, but when you're against a Corki, a Wukong, and LeBlanc, it's going to be really hard to get off any of the CC that makes his kit so powerful. So interested to see exactly how this is going to work. The Cho'Gath Blitzcrank synergy could be very strong. Guys, we are going to have that 3-minute spectator delay, so we will go to a break shortly. But before we do, head on over to omen.gg. Check out everything about the tournament. Maybe check out the laptop. $1,500, some sweet specs. Look like a good buy to me. And of course, big shout out to HP and Intel for sponsoring the tournament. Thanks to everybody for watching here. We will be back shortly. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the third and potentially final game of the quarterfinals of the Omen encounter. It is, of course, Qtpie's squad up against Nightblue and his team. 2-0 for Nightblue right now, back on the blue side. Blue side, of course, has that small advantage that people love to attribute it for, and Golden Blue starting with that W, playing a little bit forward. They do have to be careful here. Biofrost, of course, on that Blitzcrank pick means that he can early invade anywhere he wants to. They have to be very defensive here. You can see Nightblue starting with his Zingy and Fabi, them playing a little bit cautiously, and Biofrost not wanting to risk anything here is going to play back a little bit instead. Then the Solo King moving down up and down the river, trying to get a little bit of vision control here. Qtpie on that Cho'Gath, also looking for a bit of vision. Grigney and Zen the Solo King walking into each other as they round that corner with the lack of vision, and Qtpie using that excellent opportunity to get some deep wards. They will know if Nightblue starts the Gromp or if he opts to start the Krugs here. Those are pretty much the two standard jungle starts, although Nightblue is known to mix it up. Will start a buff sometimes, and just that alone is going to give his team such an advantage because it means that reliably Grigney is not going to know where Nightblue is going to end up if he starts with something less than conventional. However, we do see the Azir in the main lane versus this LeBlanc. Golden Blue playing phenomenally in the last 2 games as Qtpie blasts out a little bit of music for Grigney. Grigney not quite so enthusiastic in this situation. Cho'Gath skin is just so fantastic. I love those speakers. They're great. Golden Blue in the mid lane on that LeBlanc. This is a very early game reliant champion. Has to get ahead at some point if she wants to be able to kill anyone. And Golden Blue playing very aggressive against level 11 in this situation. Fabi immediately getting hooked out. It looks like Ethel and Biofrost are doing the same exact thing that Fabi and Zingy did to them earlier, where you deny those early Krugs kill, but they're not going to get anything out of that, and Nightblue is going to be able to safely start the Krugs. However, on the opposite side, Grigney with that deep vision is going to be able to start the Gromp into the enemy blue buff. No vision there from Nightblue's side, and this is kind of an aggressive jungle start, but good on Grigney to use the kind of the early game strength and the early game jungle clear from Elise. You can see he's taken almost no damage at this point, using those spider lanes to tank for him very efficiently. Doing a lot of work. Qtpie here, able to survive and sustain up in this lane pretty darn well. Cho'Gath, of course, has that passive. Is going to be able to heal up really well. Won't be able to trade efficiently with Lissandra, so Lissandra will most likely be consistently ahead in health. But Qtpie never really going to have to leave this lane if he plays it smart. Qtpie, of course, did start with those Vorpal spikes. May opt to get something different in this situation. And Zingy once again, along with Fabi, getting pushed out in this lane almost immediately. Biofrost picking another aggressive support. This one a little less one-dimensional than Leona, but definitely someone also who wants to pull people into the team instead of going in, which I think could benefit them very greatly. Obviously, they have the Cho'Gath there to follow up with the CC. Golden Glue now getting aggressed on as well. Starting to lose those trades in the mid lane as Love continues to get levels. You notice Love went barrier to start. Definitely wants to protect himself against that LeBlanc pick. Definitely knows that heal will be mitigated a lot by that Ignite that Golden Glue pretty much has to take in the mid lane. So good choice from Love, good summoner spell choice. You know, we don't see barrier a whole ton, but against an Ignite mid laner, it can do a lot of work. And against a champion like LeBlanc, who you aren't going to be able to get away from anyway, the heal movement speed isn't too valuable in that situation. Once again, in the top lane, we see Zen the Soul King playing so aggressive. Zen the Soul King, you know, very happy to be in the top lane at any point. And QTPie, definitely a less experienced top laner, but definitely someone who has played very confidently in the last few games. Obviously, the first game going a little bit rough on that new pick, but playing very well in game 2 as Lissandra despite losing the game, and it'll be interesting to see exactly what this Cho'Gath can do. You can see he's at a small CS deficit right now, no surprises there, doesn't have the range to CS safely, and now Golden Glue pretty much tied in the mid lane with Love. Nightblue coming around the side though, knows that he wants to get Golden Glue ahead whenever possible, does not get the chains down. However, Love is in an awkward position to not flash out reliably here, may go for the kill on Golden Glue, instead is going to go down immediately, and Golden Glue a little bit tricky with the clones there. Love immediately seeing through it, but Nightblue able to pick that up instead, and a tough spot for Love. You don't want to get behind from this LeBlanc pick in the early game. LeBlanc not going to get too much of an advantage out of it, but even an extra Doran's Ring can be the difference between life and death in a lot of these trades, and more important than anything in these early stages of the game is the massive EXP advantage LeBlanc is going to have at this point. Have to be careful here. Grigny invading into the jungle, knowing 1v1 Nightblue. Nightblue, of course, completely at this stage, and Grigny probably just going to end up taking the Raptors here instead. Doesn't really want to force any of these awkward trades, and with Golden Glue having to be back and safely invade this jungle, Nightblue instead wandering down to the Krugs, but Grigny seems determined at this point, so he will follow him into the bottom side of the jungle. Meanwhile, Fabi and Zingy finally feeling comfortable enough to push out at least a little bit. Fabi playing carefully around that hook. Biofrost not quite I am Mat Life level, but definitely doing well, like coming close on these hooks, and obviously do a lot of work. This does come through. We do see Love and Grigny moving into the bottom side of this map. Nightblue has to be careful here. Fabi is there to follow up. Grigny can escape if necessary, but he has nowhere to jump to. Love does come over the wall. Biofrost has hook available, is going to be able to grab Fabi. Fabi will go down. Nightblue may be able to follow up. Ethel is in a tough spot here. Does get the reset on the jump, however. Nightblue almost going down to the Sand Soldiers there, but not quite enough. Meanwhile, Golden Glue in the mid lane, going to take this advantage to push out. Now going to roam down to the bottom side of the map, knowing he can get the easy kill on Ethel if he does get there, and Nightblue has to back off, has to go back here, and Zingy playing a little aggressive with this poke, needs to be careful. Golden Glue instead going to go back to the mid lane, try to get an EXP advantage here. Hopefully, we'll get level 6 first and give himself a huge stat buff, and obviously that LeBlanc ult is going to do so much work in the 1v1 matchup in the mid lane. Love using Azir to the fullest though to roam down to that bot lane, and now 1-to-1 in kills. Gold nearly identical. CS in the top lane, slight advantage to Zen the Solo King, however. So as we move forward, that could be an issue. It looks like QTPie is going to opt to go for that Rod of Ages. Definitely not the best item when you're not ahead. Depending on how well he can CS in this lane, however, he should be able to get it on time, and it will get up to those maximum stacks as quickly as possible. Golden now playing very aggressive. More than happy to trade a tower shot for nothing there. Has to be careful here, though. Does not have a second dash available. Is stunned up. Does use the selfie as he can, but Grigny is going to come in there very confidently. Use that slow, and now put himself at 2-0 at this stage in the game. 0, 1, and 2 from the Azir pick. Nearly identical CS to that LeBlanc in the mid lane, and Love just doing so much work with that champion. Obviously, Azir and Elise together are going to do just put so much pressure on this mid lane. And at this point, if they can keep doing this, the LeBlanc pick is going to be there's a lot of pressure on Golden Glue to make a play with this LeBlanc pick, you know. And solo kills were one of the few options that he had to do that, but now he has to be smart with his roams and has to be very careful about how he approaches the game. QTPie getting increasingly tankier as this game progresses. Of course, Cho'Gath did get that small buff where he can feast and get half the cooldown back if it is on a minion or a monster. So is going to be able to stack up here. You can still see he's very tiny, but he's more than happy to burn that cooldown to gain a little bit of size and a little bit of health in this situation. Trying to trade the silence there, not really efficiently trading with Zen the Solo King, but has so much sustain that a lot of these exchanges, despite not doing as much damage, has so much sustain that he will come out ahead. Fabi in the bot lane approaching level 6 swiftly. A Zingy, more importantly, also approaching level 6, but this is the thing they have to be careful of. Ethel and Biofrost have the burst damage to kill anyone. You've got the rocket jump, you've got the explosive shot from Tristana. Additionally, you have the rocket grab, you've got the knockup, and of course you've got that blitzcrank ult, which just so much damage at level 1. Of course, 300. So just a lot of potential for burst damage here. Blitzcrank at any point he lands the hook, Ethel can use that Buster Shot and use the rest of the rotation, combine it with Blitzcrank's base damages, and just do just pretty much kill anyone in the spot lane. Or, you know, Blitzcrank can roam up to the mid lane, but at this point I think they're more than happy to keep applying pressure here. Biofrost finally has that level 6, is going to be able to use those lightning bolts to push out the lane even easier, getting a couple target stacks. And Ethel, 62 farm to Fabi's 39. Now Fabi, no stranger to falling behind in the early game. This is what we've seen from him every game as he transitions to the mid-game play. Zen the Soul King coming into the mid lane, picking up that kill on the level. Zen the Soul King immediately going to grab it, uses that ultimate very efficiently, and Golden Glue more than happy to pick up another assist. Golden Glue now even in CS, again, despite falling behind a little bit earlier. And this is exactly what they wanted. You know, Zen the Solo King may never be able to kill Imaqtpie in these situations, but will always be able to roam reliably, assuming Zen is not in range of Cutie-Pie in any way, shape, or form. Cutie-Pie seeming eager to make a catch here, but Zen the Solo King not roaming back into the top lane. Cutie-Pie instead will have to give up a little bit of CS for that play, but nothing too big there. Nightblue knows he's level 6, does have the advantage here. Golden Glue is here to follow up, flashes away. Golden Glue going to throw on the chains. It is going to land onto Grigny, and is immediately broken by the repel there. So they have to play careful here. They could get collapsed on. Golden Glue, no mana, going really awkward pathing here on this one. Biofrost does have hook available. Zingy will try to get the knockup, get pulled back himself, and give his own life for Golden Glue in that situation. A little bit too forward from a Zingy. Good map movement from Biofrost, from Love and Grigny, and a little bit of a sloppy map movement from Golden Glue there. May have wanted to path down, given a little bit too much respect to the Blitzcrank pick, and not very aware of Azir in that situation. So once again, trading back and forth. The closest game we've seen so far, Cutie-Pie squad coming up to a bit of an early game lead. Not out of this one yet by any means, down 2 games, but this is it. The pressure is on, and it looks like they don't have any intention of cracking. Biofrost now playing as forward as possible, does have those mobility boots, and almost nothing else. Still has the Relic Shield, but has not opted to upgrade it. Instead, investing to as much movement speed as possible, trying to roam, trying to create plays, and looking for those perfect grabs. Blitzcrank not needing too many stats in the early game to be tanky, does have that mana barrier, and you know, that alone gives him a lot of health and ultimately those all-in situations. Golden Glue playing very aggressive on the Love here, has to be careful, trading a little bit too much with the Sand Soldiers, but is able to get that out. Zen the Soul King coming from behind once again, is going to be able to ult Love flash. Totally irrelevant in this situation, does burn his ultimate as well, however, which is just a tough state to be in. Zen the Solo King rotating perfectly every time his lane is pushed out, and Cutie-Pie without doesn't have enough mana, doesn't have enough cooldown reduction to keep this lane pushed out, so in a really tough spot overall. Cutie-Pie will try to get a bit of damage on this turret. Not a great spot to fight Zen the Soul King, especially now that Zen the Soul King has a blue buff, but will get that silence off and land that CC. Grigny in a really bad spot here. He's going to try to repel up, but there are no minions in range. Will almost guaranteed to get taken out here. Golden Glue weaving through the Spiderlings to land that Ethereal Chains, and is just going to pick up the kill there, no problem. 1-1 and 3 now, 58 farm. This is exactly where Golden Glue wants to be, you know. Can build that DFG if he wants to get those more reliable kills. Can also build that Chalice to go to a more conservative LeBlanc path. But when you pair this LeBlanc with this Lissandra, you're just going to get so much value. Zen the Soul King currently at 35% cooldown reduction with the blue buff. Will go up to 40, or sorry, is at 40 with the blue buff. Will go up to 40 all the time once he finishes that Morellonomicon, assuming that's the path he decides to go down. Could, however, build the Chalice if he wants a little bit of protection against Cho'Gath. And Cutie-Pie ahead in farm, definitely, but not having any kind of map impact at this point. Just content to keep pushing out that top lane. Has to be careful about how he does this. If Lissandra keeps roaming and keeps getting these high impact plays on the mid lane, it could put his team incredibly far behind. And Cutie-Pie's team has not shown the greatest ability when playing behind. You know, they do follow up well on their opponent's mistakes, but they themselves are prone to making so many mistakes that they can put themselves in really awkward spots where, you know, what was once a small gold deficit can turn into a massive one if they engage a fight incorrectly. Nightblue ready to gank this bot lane. Hard engage is the answer here. Ethel's gonna play carefully here. Gonna run out, immediately sees Nightblue coming. Is Zingy gonna flash, try to get the knockup, try to get the Nightblue follow-up, but nothing's gonna happen there. Zingy just wants to ult somebody, and without CC, it's a pretty hard thing to pull off, especially against a Blitzcrank. Golden Glue throwing out every bit of the harass he has before swapping back to that distortion. Not too scared though, does have enough cooldown reduction, and obviously that cooldown on LeBlanc's ultimate is just so very low. Meanwhile on the top lane, Cutie-Pie has finished that run ages, that will start to stack up. 12 minutes, not a bad timing at all. He's been free to farm this whole time. Golden Glue may not be able to get past that wall, but he does have a sword, so he can swap back at any time. Nightblue picking up the kill on Love, but Biofrost has to be careful here. Does get clipped by the edge of Nightblue's ultimate. Golden Blue throws out the Ethereal Change, but is not going to land there. So another quick kill into the mid lane, very much punishing this Azir for the weak early game that he has. 1-4-2 now to 1-1-4 from Golden Blue, and Golden Blue, you know, always getting help in each and every one of these games, but he's such a confident mid laner once he's ahead that you can see how this team strategy is paying off. Nightblue game a lot in games 1 and 2, and Zen the solo king as well now in games 1 and 3. So both of them just doing so much work in a lot of these situations, and you know, once you get Golden Blue ahead, even if he misses his ultimates, he does a lot of work in these team fights. And you know, with that LeBlanc pick, he's going to be able to pick up a lot of solo kills, and against a hyper carry like Tristana, if you can solo kill her, you know, that's the majority of the team's damage. That Cho'Gath pick is, no matter what you build on it, isn't going to do the burst that you need it to, just because so much of those skills are hard to land. Whereas the Tristana, you know, obviously with that hyper carry build, is going to do so much work in the late game stage of the game. Grigney now going to try to solo this dragon. Oh, never mind. Duo the dragon with the help of Ethel. Biofrost, of course, trying to zone out with the hooks. And Grigney going to be able to pretty reliably do this with the back of Ethel. Does a lot of work. Biofrost flashing over the wall, trying to get a little trick shot action. Ethel trying to pick up the kill there. It's not going to be able to get too much, though. Excellent movement from Zen the Soul King. Zen the Soul King may be able to get out here. Has to be careful, though. Ethel looks like he's going to take him down. And now Golden Glue going in for the kill is going to pick up a kill on Biofrost and able to back out. Not at all, because he died almost immediately. Pie, you know, talked about how he needed to make some map movement, and there it was. Got the dragon, immediately followed up by moving down. Did burn his TP in that situation, but it worked out very well. Zingy and Fabi in no place to follow up. Both of them at this stage of the game, and now Ethel 1-0-2 will be able to finish that Infinity Edge shortly. Additionally, Grigney 2-1-2 has not finished the jungle item yet, but is opted to buy Sightstone, and this is a huge advantage to them in early game. We've seen this from blocking quick 2 G-play. Nightblue immediately knocked back, not going to be able to pick up Leva in this situation. Does have red buff though, may try to keep going. Is going to play hyper aggressive here. Biofrost is there to follow up. Nightblue has to be careful. Nightblue does get the kill, and Biofrost is going to try to pull back into the turret, but misses just barely. Very upset by that. Spamming in all chat. So overall, aggressive play from Nightblue, but good play from Nightblue. And I want to note this Sightstone Unleashed jungle is something we've seen in competitive play, and it's also something that we've seen a lot from Trick2G's squad. Trick himself, obviously not getting it on Elise, but getting it on Jax, kind of using it the same way we see Lee Sin use it. And that extra vision control has come in huge for his team, and it looks like it might be a big difference here for Pie's squad as well. Pie himself appears to be locked up by both these AP casters, so tanky, so much resistances, knows he's going down, trying to collect up a little bit of CS in this situation. Zen the Soul King going to be able to pick this one up. Jungler and support immediately up the top lane to respond to try to defend this turret. Curious to see exactly how this is going to work out. Pie now 1-1-1, continuing to build AP. Not a big fan of the tanky Cho'Gath build, apparently. Is going to try to get Abyssal Scepter. Would make a lot of sense. You know, we do have the LeBlanc in this situation. LeBlanc obviously able to do a lot of work. Brittany following up almost immediately. Is going to be able to take down that kill. Zen the Soul King has to burn ult there, but for almost no reason, as Golden Blue is already dead. Perhaps a little bit too aggressive. Grigney playing out of his mind this game. Clearly so comfortable on this Elite pick. 3-1-2, getting his team a large advantage here. Now Ethel in the bot lane 1-0-2. And still up such a massive amount of CS. Meanwhile, of course, the top lane jungle and mid laner from Nightblue's squad doing a lot of work. Fabi, of course, always falls behind, but usually Golden Blue, Nightblue, and Zen can bring it back in the mid to late game. It'll be interesting to see if they can do it once again this game. They obviously have a very strong team comp, that Lissandra and that Wukong, able to engage fights whenever they want. And then, of course, Golden Glue on LeBlanc, pretty much the one-man, one-woman, actually, pick comp, just because she can 1v1 kill anyone as we approach late stages of the game. Does have the Merle-on-Omicron. It's getting as much cooldown reduction as possible. Building another Amp Tome. Wouldn't be surprised to see a DFG at this stage of the game. Could also see a Void Staff, though, given how much MR Cho'Gath has opted to build at this point. Cho'Gath, of course, slowly and steadily building a CS advantage. Now with much more of a mana pool, is able to confidently push out this mid lane, using his passive to get back as much mana as possible. Nightblue playing super aggressive, stealthing and coming in here, not going to be able to get anything out of that though, and they're in no position to dive at Cho'Gath. Cho'Gath just getting so very tanky. And this is one of the things that we haven't really seen yet in this game, is a genuine tank. It'll be interesting to see exactly how this works out. Biofrost getting locked up repeatedly by Golden Blue. Has to be careful here. Golden Blue could get bursted out here, but it looks like instead they're going to have to back off. Zen the Soul King does use the ult. Golden Blue swaps back actually to try to get a kill there, and Pie on the hunt, but does not have the mobility necessary to catch LeBlanc in this situation. Now Nightblue also has to be careful. Could get caught out here. Pie coming around the corner. Nightblue Gonna play it safe here. That tower about to go down. This could be the first tower of the game. Both teams even on gold. This could be the deciding factor. You know, Pewdiepie's squad does, however, have that dragon, and that doesn't play a huge factor here, but it is at least a couple, or at least it's close to 1,000 gold at this stage of the game, especially with the least building AP. You know, rushing that early haunting, guys, gonna make those percentage damages do so much more work. And of course, Tristana now slowly building that static ship, does have the Avarice Blade, wants to farm up more, knows that Ethel knows her job is at this point late game carry. You know, has to build more damage, has to get there as soon as possible. Corki, of course, transitioning into that mid-game power spike with Trinity Force. The Sheen proc from Trinity Force giving him so much dueling potential, but you know, in 2 more items, pretty much Tristan's always going to be able to outdamage Corki. But Corki, still the strongest, one of the strongest picks. Curious to see exactly how they're going to use this Tristana, exactly how they're going to use this range in team fights. And it looks like Pewdiepie just farming up, ready to be a peeling machine in these late game team fights, although he'll never really be able to engage too well. So the Solo King pushing out this wave, may try to get the tower back here. This is 2 towers for Pewdiepie's squad, chaining them one after another. So 1.5k gold here. Zen the Solo King misreading the situation, thought Pewdiepie backed, has to play careful. Pewdiepie, of course, gets the silence here. No fear, Grigny there to follow up almost immediately. Pewdiepie just going to be able to nom. No problems. No surprises there. Zen the Solo King trying to defend himself with his ult, but Pewdiepie has so much resistance, or so many resistances at this stage of the game that ult is not able to do enough damage to dissuade him. And Pewdiepie, curious to see if after he finishes, he doesn't subject to continue to build AP, but that doesn't matter, because Lova getting juked out by Goldenblue in this situation. Goldenblue flashing, pushing himself forward with the Azir wall. Styled on. Not necessary at all, but super cool looking. And definitely getting that kill solo. So Biofrost now playing hyper aggressive. Gonna go try to snag the little blunt for him kill, and Nightblue now running in onto Biofrost. There's aggression everywhere. Ballland's getting aggressed on. Biofrost himself may go down to Nightblue in this situation. Has to be careful. He does go down to Nightblue. Nightblue doing so much work with this Wukong pick. That double brutalizer itemization that we saw last game, coming back this game and just making those kills so easy to pick up. Fabian is zinging down in the bot lane. We're, of course, playing very aggressive earlier, and now we know why. They wanted to stop those rotations. They wanted to force attention, and now, of course, Nightblue's squad instantly able to take out that mid lane turret. Have to be careful here, though. You've got to be careful about how they time their backs. Dragon is available, and Pewdiepie's squad is looking to contest or take it here, as no members of Nightblue's team are present at this point. Goldenblue. Not quite the DFG itemization, I promise you, ladies and gentlemen. Instead, probably a late DFG next. But first, Medjai Soul Stealer, and it looks like 7 stacks at this point. Of course, it does now start with 5, so only 1 kill added on there, but 3, 3, and 5 now. Not going to do too much, though, especially as Grigny takes this second dragon. No buffs to the Goldenblue side, but Goldenblue now eager to go in, knows the ultimate is not available, does opt to back out here, doesn't want to run into Biofrost, and that silence is silence, of course, lethal below block in a lot of these situations. Goldenblue playing very cautious. Pewdiepie, ever eager to split push, does have those Ninja Tabby to give himself a little bit of armor in these situations, and also Abyssal Scepter and Rod of Ages. So a lot of money in Pewdiepie. This is an ideal situation for him if he can get this catch in the jungle. Is going to try to get the knock up here, gets the silence on his Zen the Solo King as well. Will get a couple auto attacks off. Can he get the feast? And it doesn't look like he's going to be able to. Does, in fact, flash feast, and the last auto attack is going to get the kill there. Won't get any size from that stack. The kill alone should do a lot of work. Pewdiepie now free to push. Goldenblue has to be careful about how he engages here. He does not have enough damage to kill Pewdiepie. Doesn't have any form of magic penetration outside of the Sorcerer's Shoes at this stage of the game, and Pewdiepie just huge, so tanky, can do so much work in a lot of these one-on-one skirmishes and these ganks. You know, they have to commit at least 2 people to top him. Pewdiepie may not be able to get out in a lot of these split pushing situations, but someone has to be sent to stop him, because he's always going to be able to pressure these turrets. And the further this game goes, the more and more tanky he gets. Cho'Gath as a character obviously scales so well with resistances, given the free health he gets from his ultimate, and can just do a lot of damage with just his ult. Now we see him getting the recurve bow. This could be the Wit's End. Is it the Wit's End? Is Pewdiepie so confident that he wants that attack boost? It could be. You know, that will help him split push that top lane. It will help him duel Wukong or Corki in a lot of situations if he can get in the melee range. But overall, interesting itemization. But, you know, I've questioned him a lot in the past, and so far it's worked out very well for him. So we won't doubt him this time. When he does finish that Wit's End, we'll see exactly what it does for him. But at this stage, it's still kind of a mystery. You see Tristana has now finished her static shift and Infinity Edge. She is going to be lethal in these fights. You can see Fabi does appear to be itemizing either for the Last Whisper or the Infinity Edge. Infinity Edge, of course, going to give him more damage immediately, and of course Last Whisper going to give him more damage in the long run as more armor is built on a lot of these stages. Golden Glue playing very cocky there. Biofrost almost getting the hook out, predicting the distortion. And Golden Glue now playing very forward every time, trying to use this Ethereal Change to get an ult off. Zen the Solo King also hunting down for those kills. You can see the team as a whole moving as a pick comp, trying to get something to happen here, but meanwhile Imaqtpie is split pushing the top lane. Cutie knows how strong he is, sees all 5 members mid, knows he can take down this turret now that he has that recurve bow. And it looks like this may end up being a 1-for-1 turret change, but no, Azir has something to say about that. They are going to try to stop it here. The whole team still auto-attacking it. Biofrost is able to get that stun out of the Soul King. Not enough time to ult himself. Accidentally out. Biofrost is sent out with immediate follow-up from the team, though. They have to be careful. Echo does have a lot of potential here to get in that situation. Grigny immediately jumping into the air, buying time when the TP happens. Nightblue flashing to the wall to pick up the kill. Does not have the decoy available quite yet. Will in just a moment here. Does pop it. Has to be careful. Has to be clever about how he pulls this off. Ethel does not have jump available. Did not get an assist on anything recently. And Nightblue is going to keep running. Is going to, however, go down to QD5. Never mind the jukes. Oh my god, the jukes are real, ladies and gentlemen. Is going to go down to a 0 almost immediately, however, after that. And Nightblue 5-1-1 now does get shut down by Love. Huge gold swing for Love. 2-6-4. Got camped all game, but is still going to be able to do a lot of work. Golden Glue, however, using that LeBlanc pick to its fullest power. Ethel saving that rocket jump, paying off dividends now. And they aren't going to be able to follow up. Ethel 2-0-2, getting closer and closer to that late game monster status. And unfortunately, Golden Glue, despite getting that kill, is going to give up half of his Magi stacks in that situation, which, you know, admittedly only puts him down to 6, but it's still definitely not the situation they wanted at all. Almost a 2K gold lead for QD5 squad. They seem determined to bring this game back, not wanting to go out, not wanting to get 3-0'd. More than happy to push back and get the 3-2. Maybe live the dream. Curse Academy versus CLG status, ladies and gentlemen. We could get there. We'll have to see. 25 minutes into the game, 14-11. Like I said, 2K gold lead for QD5's team now. And, you know, Ethel clearly doing a lot better on this Tristana pick. That extra mobility is coming in huge here. And I think Golden Glue on this LeBlanc not quite doing the work that they want it to. You know, you are picking up those solo kills, but usually at the cost of his life. And, you know, killing Love-Lava, the character who's very far behind at this stage in the game, is not quite as valuable as it was in the first 10 minutes. We do see the pause almost are coming out. Not sure exactly what's happening in this situation. Assume once again that it is a player with some connection issues. So we will be back in just a few minutes here, guys, or a few moments here, hopefully. We'll have to see as this moves forward. Most likely just someone reconnecting to the game as they deal with some ping issues. What a crazy game. Not sure exactly. Oh, no, the immediate unpause as the lag appears to have dissipated for whichever player it was affecting. Nightblue squad now moving forward. Nightblue on that volcanic Wukong skin. I said he wanted to burn it down. He is eager to burn it down, but they are not on the path that they were last game, so they're not going to get that dragon buff or 5 dragon buff anytime soon. QD5 squad looking much closer at 2 dragons so far, and of course the dragon up in a minute. This could be the 3rd dragon for QD5 squad, and that will give them that much more pick potential. And the extra 5 movement speed on a Cho'Gath, it's going to come in huge here, make it that much easier to land skill shots. And QD5, the interesting itemization, of course, is now going to finish that Wit's End. Has so much MR, pretty much impossible for Zen the Solo King or Golden Glue to kill in any of these situations. LeBlanc and Lissandra both are all about burst damage and are all about, well, in Lissandra's case, CC, but most of her damage does come up front, similar to LeBlanc. There is no sustained damage there, so they have no reliable way to kill QD5. Fabi, of course, has to be the sole one in charge of that, but when you're facing down a max range Tristana, as Ethel is now 14 and is quickly approaching 18, it's going to be difficult for Fabi to get in there and take out QD5. Nightblue immediately getting cut out here. Nightblue does not have any escape options. Will go in on it. Ethel is going to use that movement speed from Cyclone. Biofrost getting knocked up as he flashes and has to play careful here. Golden Glue is going to pick up Ethel. This is exactly what they needed. A little bit of an overextension there. They do trade Ethel for Nightblue in that situation, and down. So much work, you know, not able to do that consistent damage, but as these fights start to wear along, good predictions from Imaqtpie. Golden Glue immediately dropping back out, trades 1-for-1. Grigny has to be careful here. They do have Golden Glue using the copy to block the cocoon from Grigny. Excellent play. Biofrost going to go down. Grigny looks like poised to go down too. Gonna pop the snare with the hawk. Not going to do exactly what they needed to, and that looks like 2 double kills for Golden Glue. Now 15 stacks on that Medjai's Soul Stealer. That is exactly what they wanted from this LeBlanc pick. Those extended skirmishes, those situations where she can just distortion in and distortion out, doing so much in that team fight and just playing phenomenally. Once again, Golden Glue, as I mentioned earlier, always starts off slow, but as we transition to this late game phase, just starts doing so much work. Not the perfect team fight there, and you can see how tanky Cutie-Pie was in that situation, but when LeBlanc gets to live for that long and gets to constantly keep casting Ethereal Chains, Distortion, whittling you down one bit at a time, that's not the team fight you want. And it took way too many resources for them to blow up Nightblue. Nightblue being very clever about how he approached that, waiting to decoy as long as possible, using the Nimbus Strike, using the ultimate to get out in that situation, forcing Love to blow all of his cooldowns to chase, and overall, they picked up Ethel off that almost immediately. And as I mentioned earlier, so much of the team's damage is in Ethel. Azir, of course, also able to match that as the game moves forward, but Ethel the prime focus now for Nightblue squad, and if they can keep getting pickoffs like that, this game is going to swiftly move in their favor. Golden Glue going in for the kill there, not able to get anything, blows most of his cooldowns, but is going to force Ethel out there. Now going to, in theory, be able to take this dragon uncontested. They have to be careful about how they approach this. Don't want to move into Nightblue Cyclone. This is now the AP and AD boost for the team, and that is going to be huge for Golden Glue, especially who has already the ridiculous scaling from Medjai's, and on top of that, the percentage scaling added on there. And then soon, also the magic pen to back it up. So Golden Glue going to do so much damage. You can see how low he got Ethel with half of a combo. And it's going to be impressive to see how much he can do with the whole thing. Cutie-Pie trying to chase here. Not going to be able to get anything, though, in this situation. One of the big weaknesses of Cho'Gath is, of course, that he is so immobile. And good responsiveness from Golden Glue to move with that that leap. Does have the TFG to try to fight if he needs to, but isn't going to. Is instead going to back off. Cutie-Pie will push in. Won't try to get any damage with this tower, though. Will be forced to back off. And now, despite, so much of their damage being magic damage, Nightblue's team is doing work. They were behind, and they still are by a very small margin, but was once a substantial gold lead is now non-existent almost. And Nightblue 5-2-2, looking really strong in each and every one of these games. Does have so much AD and so much armor shred on Wukong. Is going to be backed up by Fabi very easily in these fights, and as the game moves forward, this mostly magic damage itemization you think would spell death for them as a team, but you can see Cutie-Pie with so much MR still not having the impact he wants for his team. 4-2-4, doing really well on his own, but not quite doing in teamfights what he needs to do. Some excellent ruptures from him, though. Some excellent predicting in that last team fight that we saw. So, Cho'Gath, obviously not a pick that we've seen in a long time, but one that's working reasonably well for him. We'll see exactly how well it works for him now. Does have the cooldown to try to get Golden Glue, and unfortunately in this situation, despite being so MR based, is not going to be able to get any kind of kill because both of these teams are going to be able to avoid the majority of his cooldowns. That DFG giving him functionally 20% increased magic penetration in that situation, letting him ignore the majority of that MR. Of course, combined with the Sorcerer's Shoes, they're just doing so much work. And of course, Lissandra also has that Void Staff. So, Cutie-Pie, the main tank of the team, the main source of resistances, and what allows them to continue fighting, is just not going to be exactly what he needs. They are going to immediately take down that mid lane turret in response, so Love doing a lot of work in that situation. The three members can tend to keep pushing. Cutie-Pie will be up in 21 seconds. Golden Glue getting caught out there, but not going to get silenced until he's already back. So, good play from him. Zen the Soul King and Golden Glue pushing out there. More than happy to just take the creep wave in that situation, while Nightblue, Fabi, and the Zingy up in the top lane are going to take down that turret as well. So, picking up 2 turrets in that situation, evening out the gold completely. 4-5 in turrets, 20-14 in kills, and looks like Cutie-Pie's team might try to get the Baron here. They are in a good position to fight. They can get collapsed on, but they have to be careful about how they approach this. Looks like a Zingy, Fabi, and Nightblue are waiting in the bush, hoping to catch somebody out here. Golden Glue and the Zen, the Solo King, moving up together as well. They are going to take out the pink ward near the Baron pit. Try to establish a little bit more control in this area. They do ping out that Cutie-Pie is top. They don't have to be too scared about approaching this jungle and approaching in that silence, which is the biggest issue. But Cutie-Pie himself also has to back off. Scared of that Lissandra LeBlanc duo, no matter how much magic he builds, it's always going to be able to take him out if he's caught out solo. He does now have 3 magic resist items: the Abyssal Scepter, the Banshee's Veil, and the Wit's End, along with a little bit of armor in the form of Ninja Tabby, and of course health and AP from that Rod of Ages. So interesting itemization from Cutie-Pie, not quite working as well as he'd like it to, as his positioning has been a little lackluster in the past couple minutes. Meanwhile, across the board, Ethel doing so well. You can see that Negatron cloak coming out, perhaps for the Quicksilver Sash, perhaps for the Hex Drinker in this situation, but as they move forward, Bloodthirster, Ecstatic Shiv, Infinity Edge, that's a lot of damage, and that attack speed buff on Tristana is just going to come in huge in here in a lot of these late game team fights. LeBlanc, of course, now at 17 stacks, quickly approaching 20. 20 going to do so much work. And they have to be careful about how they approach this LeBlanc, because with the Void Staff, with the Merlinomicon, and of course with the Deathfire Grasp, she now will reliably be able to chain those ethereal chains together and keep someone locked down. Additionally, just so very mobile. Distortion almost always available when needed, and always going to be able to win out on those 1v1 situations on pretty much every champion on the enemy team. Nightblue getting hooked there. Not Nightblue even, the clone. Trigny now looks like he is poised to go down. Does take a lot of damage from the LeBlanc combo on Fabi as well. Both top lanes continue to fight. So much MR. Is it going to play out for him? Then running to the back line. Is going to ult himself. He's going to be able to take out Biofrost as well. Golden Blue dominating now. Has 19 stacks, almost to 20. Now to 20. Going to do so much work here. Imaqtpie being completely ignored. That lack of mobility crippling his teamfight impact so much. Not able to keep up with Lissandra. Not able to keep up with Golden Blue. The two champions he's best equipped to fight. And now Nightblue's immediately going to transition this into a Baron. Not off the jump to the wall. Instead, going to let them fight at this as free. They are going to drop very low. They have to be careful. There will as an ego down in this situation. Golden Blue looking to 1v1 Cutie-Pie. Cutie-Pie backing off instead. Once again, they could still go down a Baron. They have to be clear about how they approach this. Raid boss mechanics coming into the team as a whole, though. Going to keep them alive. Golden Blue is still ever eager to poke out Cutie-Pie. Just remind him that the Cho'Gath pick, not quite so effective against these high mobility champs. Golden Blue at 20 stacks is going to be huge, guys. He does have that 6% AD and AP increase. He's now going to work towards that death cap, and obviously 20 stacks is just so much damage. 13, 4, and 6. Golden Blue, rough start, turns into a pretty excellent game. Meanwhile, on the opposite side, Love on that Azir, not able to have the impact that he wants to at this stage, not able to keep himself safe in a lot of these teamfight situations, and you can see Imaqtpie, despite ever being eager to jump to the back line, maybe better off protecting those kind of high damage dealers on his team, but once again, it's kind of hard against that LeBlanc. It's really tough to put yourself in a place where you can actually stop her from killing anybody when she does it in about half a second. But back ruptures away, it's about half a second. Coming over the wall there, playing hyper aggressive. He did a follow up with the ultimate. Nightblue also able to follow up with the Cyclone there, gets immediately knocked back by Ethel. Then the team approaching very quickly, does have res buff, has to be careful about getting too close to Love in this situation. Blue getting the kill. Triple kill for LeBlanc, 16, 4, and 7. If he could have more stacks, he would be about 25, 27 at this point in the game, which is a little absurd if you think about it. They're now going to push down the mid lane. It looks like they are going to try to end the game. There's about 30 seconds on each and every one of these death timers. They have so much AP. No one has a Lich Bane, so these towers aren't going to go down quite as quickly as they'd like them to, but Fabi, of course, with that Sheen, is going to do a lot of work. Similarly, Wukong also with the auto attack reset in that situation. They have to be careful about going too far here. They could throw the game if they stay too long. Zemisolking getting pulled in. This could be dangerous. Golden Blue doing so much work, though. They are going to try to take this down. Zemisolking, one hit away, is technically picked up by a minion there. Blitzcrank will get the kill, and this is Nightblue, the 3-0 over Cutie-Pie. Moving on to face Trick2G tomorrow. Cutie-Pie's lineup not happy with that one, folks. GG. Cutie-Pie's team once again off to an amazing start. Cutie-Pie himself on yet another unconventional top laner, but this one, unlike Nunu, no mobility. Excellent teamfight impact, but not able to do anything in those last